We always got to evacuate.
Parish declared a state of emergency, and mandatory evacuations were placed on Grand Isle, lower-lying Lafitte, Crown Point, Barataria, and the town of Jean Lafitte. Grand Isle has also issued a curfew effective at 10 p.m. tonight. In conjunction with the RTA, we have suspended Jefferson Transit services beginning at 8 p.m. this evening through Sunday morning. All riders who normally rely on this service are encouraged to make other transportation arrangements. We were spared from rain yesterday, which allowed pumps to keep canal levels at the lowest possible. Today, we had nearly 400 Public Works employees on hand to ensure the parish was as prepared as possible for the projected 10 to 20 inches of rain. Yesterday alone, they cleaned 3,534 catch basins. Today, they were able to clean an additional 3,100 catch basins. In total, our crews have cleaned more than 8,000 catch basins in preparation for this storm over the past 24 to 36 hours. And the total for this year, since January 1, we have cleaned 28,000 catch basins. One thing I can certainly say I've learned as president of this parish is we have some of the most dedicated, hardworking employees, and I thank them for their service, especially in events like this. We remain at 99.3% operational with all of our pump stations, with 189 of 190 pumps in service. The Elmwood pump station, which is at the end of the Elmwood Canal in Metairie, has one pump that's down with its turbine, but there are 9 other pumps at that station that are fine. When pumping capacity at our pumps can pump enough water, we can fill the Smoothie King Center in 6 minutes and the Superdome in 41 minutes. That's from Pelican's Court all the way to the roof. We expanded the capacity at our Kenner Parish Line pump station to increase the pump capacity by 25%. That station was expanded, and of course we were able to engage that just recently. This helps Kenner's neighborhoods of University City, Grand Lake, Seton Park, Susan Park, and the areas surrounding the airport runoff. As mentioned earlier, this parish has put 3 new pump stations online this past year. The Pump to the River, the airport pump station, and the St. Peter's Ditch pump station in Clearview to help alleviate that flooding that happens on South Clearview Parkway. Just a note to update on the airport. Southwest has canceled all inbound and outbound flights. Many other airlines are canceling flights at this time. Please check your airline before going to the airport. Earlier today, the governor issued all floodgates to be closed throughout the parish. With that, I would like our levee districts to provide updates. First, Mr. Derek Bays for Southeast Levee Protection District East.
Thank you, President Yenny. As President Yenny said, we received guidance today to close every floodgate, not only in East Jefferson, but also in Orleans and St. Bernard parishes. As of 7 o'clock, actually about 6:15 tonight, we completed that operation and closed all 244 floodgates in the region and all 8 of our large sector gates. We also initiated operation of the permanent pump station along the lakefront, including the 17th Street Canal. Those gates are now closed, and we are matching the flow of Pump Station 6 of Sewage and Water Board. We're very confident in the entire system's ability to withstand what Tropical Storm Barry may bring us, whether it's on the river or on the hurricane system.
And now Mr. John Monzone from SIFLA West.
Good evening. Just like the East Authority, we received the same request to close the remaining gates. We began closing all our gates yesterday. All our land-based gates were closed yesterday by 7 p.m. As of 6 p.m. this evening, we closed all our water-based floodgates, including Bayou Signet, Harvey Sector Gate at La Palco, and the West Closure Complex. Additionally, we closed the LA 45 gate at the levee system right there and on the perimeter. We're prepared and ready to go, and so that's it. We're all buttoned up.
I think y'all would say this is unprecedented. This is the most amount of gates that have been closed at one time.
Yeah, so not only that, this is the first time in the history of the levee district that we've had to close every single gate, including on the river, due to the river being so high.
Now I'd like Councilman Templet to give an update on where he has been in Grand Isle and Lafitte. Councilman?
Thank you, President Yenny. Just want to give a quick update on the areas outside of levee protective system. Just about 30 minutes ago, I was on the phone with Mayor Commodell in Grand Isle. The island has no power as we speak. Around 2:30, 3 o'clock today, a tidal surge inundated the island where it had a lot of major flooding. No reports of housing getting water in them, but without power, the pumps don't work. And so the 15 temporary pumps that the parish and the administration, Mr. Yenny, we had sent down are all fully operable right now and pumping the island down for the future of the rest of this storm. In Lafitte, I just left Mayor Timmy Kerner. He's down there flood fighting the area in Lafitte, Crown Point, and Barataria. There's roughly about 30,000 bags that have already been deployed. There's another 8,000 on their way right now to deploy overnight. Water is rising in Lafitte, but there's no flooding currently as we speak. And thank you very much.
And now to give us an update on Entergy, as of about an hour or so ago, we had over 3,000 residents out. Probably a good portion were in Grand Isle. Is our Public Service Commissioner, Mr. Eric Skrmetta.
Thank you, Mr. President. As President Yenny just stated, there's about 3,250 outages in Jefferson Parish. 2,800 of them are in Grand Isle. The rest, the remaining 1,200 or so, are sporadically spread around the parish and are being dealt with by Entergy on regular repair schedule at this time. Right now, Entergy's manpower capacity in the area is about 2,800 personnel active. CLECO on the North Shore, because your area will reach over there, is about 1,300 personnel. Everybody's in place to deal with the storm in this area first. As the storm moves west and issues become more problematic there, they will deal with the problems here with adequate personnel, and then they will move this personnel, since we're outside of that cone, they will station personnel and resources to move into the Lafayette, New Iberia area to help the other Louisianians in that region. I also spoke to Mayor Commodell in Grand Isle. They are working to deal with the closure of LA1 south of Golden Meadow, which is preventing Entergy from going south to begin dealing with the infrastructure associated with the damage that's taken place in Grand Isle. Once the road is clear, I've already engaged with Entergy to prepare resources and place them to move into Grand Isle to begin the repairs to their system so they can repair the services for those 2,800 meters. Again, remembering that winds above 30 miles an hour prevent, by federal law, employees from being in the buckets and getting up in the, to work aerially, but we will have scouts crews and also vegetation crews on the ground in higher winds. But we are prepared, and we've very proud of the mayor of Grand Isle for his work. He's being out there right now doing what he can, and he's out in the storm. So that ends my report. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Skrmetta. And now we have Sheriff Joe Lapinto. Sheriff.
Thank you, Mr. President. Over the last 2 days, our citizens have heard almost every warning humanly possible. I want to thank them for heeding those warnings. Traffic is actually very light right now in Jefferson Parish. Most people are off the roadways. We want to keep it that way. We'll obviously go through a storm tonight and all day tomorrow. We ask the citizens to stay off the streets. Our first responders are here to respond to emergencies. They will be out there in the storm in order to respond to those emergencies. But we also want to give them, once the weather cedes, we want them to give the opportunity for Entergy to get out there and restore power, for our crews to be able to get the trees out of the way. We have plenty of people here that are out there to try to help us. If you can give us the time after this storm, we'll be happy to help. We hope we're going to miss a big storm here. We hope that we have a great afternoon and next week, actually. But we know that the worst is yet to come over the next 24 to 48 hours. Stay indoors. It appears that that is happening right now. Thank you for heeding those warnings, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Sheriff. The bulk of the storm is looking to affect our area overnight, residents should make sure that items outside of their homes are secured. That is something we've been trying to stress. We've had a lot of people trimming limbs and doing normal housework today, so we asked them to please make sure they secure that because of the winds that we could have. I also mentioned earlier, I had two mayors that joined us today, so I'd like to give them the opportunity to give an update on their cities. Mayor Belinda Constant with Gretna.
I just want to say thank you to Parish President and the administration, as well as the elected officials in Jefferson. We stand with them. Gretna is, we've done everything we can with the police department and all of our service departments, and thank you so much for standing with us.
Thank you, Mayor. And now Mayor Joe Peoples from Westwego.
I'd like to also thank Parish President Yenny. We're prepared, police department, fire department, all on go. We have crews for street crews to stay out all day tomorrow and keep our drains clean. And if any of our citizens need us, we're just a phone call away, but we will have crews in all parts of our city and watching the drains and keeping everything up. So thank you.
We also want to ask residents, again, to maintain that debris and make sure it's not on the curb. We sent out garbage trucks to try to get on top of that today, even though there was no garbage collection. We wanted to try to stop anything from becoming a projectile. So we did try to pick up as much as we could, but if you put your can out, please bring it back to your house, because we certainly don't want that blowing over, clogging up any drains, or doing anything like that in your neighborhoods. Grand Isle is currently experiencing, Ricky, what did you just tell me?
65 mile an hour.
65 mile an hour wind gust. And other areas in the parish have beginning to experience 10 to 20 mile an hour gusts. Lastly, to clear up some confusion that's been out there, the buses that are currently at Zephyrs Field are not active for evacuation. The state is using that location as a staging site in the event that they need to use this for evacuations. Those buses were ordered by the state, and they could be mobilized at any time to help evacuate residents should they need to be evacuated. But that's a call the state would make and disperse those buses to those areas for evacuation. Thank you for helping us get the word out to our 430,000 plus residents here in Jefferson Parish, and we'll now take any questions you may have. Feynman?
Yes, Grand Isle, you guys mentioned Grand Isle and said we've been inundated. Has it sustained any other damage, or is there any other problems down there that you've seen?
Well, currently, right now, in speaking to the mayor and to Chief Lane Landry, they have most things under control. They have, last time I spoke to them prior to this, they were gauging 65 mile an hour winds, which affect any area with debris or things flying around. They do have a curfew starting at 6.
10.
I mean, I'm sorry, yeah, 10. And they're monitoring things. They did have major flooding on the island, and they're trying to pump that down now as we speak, because the tide did go down a little bit. So it's giving them a little reprieve where they can pump out the island temporarily.
Do you have a sense for how many people are left on the island?
Talking to the mayor, there's roughly about 1,200 residents. He figures about maybe 500 stayed.
And of course, LA1 is closed between Grand Isle and Port Fourchon. Next question. Yeah, yes, I'm sorry.
Two things. With all of the post-Katrina changes, is there anything particularly that will be tested with this particular storm in light of the high river levels? And secondly, sort of picking up on what he was saying, with all of the low-lying areas where there's a mandatory evacuation, do you have any numbers on if the majority of people got out of those areas?
I know that, well, let me start with your first question, and I'll let Derek echo this one. Obviously, the new pump station at the end of the 17th Street Canal in Jefferson Parish, which drains, the 17th Street Canal drains Jefferson and Orleans, along with their London Avenue and Orleans Avenue pump stations. They're the first of the kind to be used this time to not put the stress on those flood walls like we had during Hurricane Katrina. I mean, this building is because of Hurricane Katrina, making sure we have the right assets to house our people, to make sure they can respond as quickly as possible to our constituents' complaints. And of course, we're working round the clock here in this building, trying to make sure we can handle those types of things. But Derek, if you want to talk about anything. This one, because you got more.
As far as the system being tested, it somewhat has already been tested. It was tested during Hurricane Isaac. If you remember, in 2012, The system was technically already in place. I don't anticipate this putting any more burden on the system than Isaac did. Isaac carried more surge. So the only thing that's different is the Mississippi River levee. So obviously the river's high, so this is the first time that we've had a storm of this magnitude in the month of July with the river being this high. So, but the elevations, we did some sort of spot elevations. The elevations are there, and we don't anticipate any overtopping on the river.
Just to echo that, I mean, the system has been tested for over 8 months, if you want to look at it that way. We've been in High River now for 8 months plus. We've inspected everything daily. We're absolutely confident in that. We've been in High River for 3 or 4 years. So this is not, well, not in combination with a storm surge, but just like John said, I mean, we've gone out and taken extensive surveys in preparation for this storm. I can tell you in my sector down in St. Bernard, I've got 6 foot of freeboard before anything would overtop right now. We're looking at a surge of 3 to 4 in current projections. So we don't anticipate any overtopping. We're very confident in this.
And obviously, Jefferson Parish has put more generators in at buildings and pump stations and sewer lift stations as possible. We play the generator game, moving around portables to make sure we're keeping our major storage lift stations up and running when we have high rain events, because we know we're going to experience I&I, inflow and infiltration into the storage system. So we want to make sure that doesn't end up in people's homes and we can keep those sewer lift stations going. Sir.
So given the current conditions and how this storm is developing, what are the most serious concerns for the parish?
Obviously, as we've said, lower-lying areas, Lafitte, Grand Isle, Barataria, Crown Point, you know, what the water is going to do, how it will come over, you know, top those levees, move in behind the island of Grand Isle. That's certainly things we're concerned about. With the wind gusts, we know that we're going to lose power. And so people need to just be patient with us so that we can help energy restore that power. And that's why Public Service Commissioner Skrmetta is here and a lot to embed with us to make sure he's getting energy where they need to be to get that power restored, because we know that is burdensome. We know that we're going to experience a lot of rain, anywhere between 10 to 20 inches of rain is certainly going to be burdensome to our system. As Mayor People experienced and the people of Bridge City experienced just the other day, almost 8 inches in the Westwego Bridge City area. As I told people, another analysis, we can fill up an Olympic swimming pool in 2 seconds, or 2007 Olympic swimming pools in about an hour. So it's certainly, you know, we have a good system, but when you get that kind of rain, that certainly causes a burden on the system, and we do everything we can. That is why we have been working to clean out as many of our 80,400 catch basins as we possibly can. Working very, very hard to do that, and that's why I commend all of our public works employees, from drainage to streets to even parkways today, and of course our line rehab division. They have been working diligently around the clock, and tomorrow, you know, when they can get out, they'll certainly get out to handle any areas that have flooded, to try to clog those drains while unclog those drains while it's raining.
You share a pump station with Orleans Parish. 2 days ago, a lot of water fell in the metro area, and the 17th Street Canal was, in some people's opinions, dangerously high. Does there come a time, if we get a lot of rain like that tomorrow or even into Sunday, that you call New Orleans and say, hey, can you guys get something going here? Because that's a big threat to all Metro.
Good. I'm sorry. I can take that. Okay, yeah, very good question. I can say this. I went to the 17th Street Canal the other day, and I haven't seen rivers in Colorado that were flowing as fast as the water moving from New Orleans and Jefferson Parish down that canal to Station 6. We have a person from our staff embedded in Station 6, and we thank Mayor Cantrell and her administration for allowing that, so we know what's going on in that station. So that makes our comfort level good to know. And she mentioned the other day that they're at 75% power capacity. That's higher than they've been in decades. So we feel very confident at this time. Derek? Yeah.
All right, so when we operate the 17th Street Canal pump station for us that mirrors Pump Station 6, when we close the gates, we pump down the canal. We've already done that. We're at negative 0.5 or so in the canal based on our actions this afternoon. Typically, we run and we match whatever Sewage and Water Board Pump Station 6 is putting out. However, their capacity is about 10,000 CFS total. Ours is over 12,000. So we can not only match them, but actually drain the canal faster, and we're prepared to do that for this event. So, the canal range in 17th is, it can't go below -1 and it can't get above +8. It will never get above +8 when we're pumping, as everything goes smoothly.
I had another question, was maybe for Mr. Scrumetta. If people do deal with power issues, how quickly could you lean on power companies? Because that's the biggest inconvenience for a lot of people for storms like this. If they do lose power, if they have to sit for a day or 48 hours or 72 hours, how quickly can you lean on people to get that power back up and going?
Well, you know, in emergency situations like this, we tend to take a standoff approach because we know that they're working as hard as they can. We have them bring in extra personnel to ensure that they're doing this. The other thing we've done is, since Katrina and since Isaac, is they used to work in teams of 3, moving their scouts, their vegetation personnel, and their bucket personnel all in teams. And we broke that apart. So where they can have the scouts and the vegetation guys go out when the winds are higher and begin working, and then get the bucket guys to go where they need to be. So we've made the system more efficient. We've also installed in our best practices docket the use of drone technology, so they can go and skim the various distribution lines and transmission lines to find out where the problems are now and shorten the man hours. But when it really comes down to it, we engage on a personal level with the utilities, whether it be Entergy or CLECO or the co-ops, and engage with them where there are critical infrastructure problems first, and then we work with them on residential after that. So we always want to make sure the hospitals and other stuff, critical infrastructure, meaning circuits that provide fuel issues for folks and grocery stores that are served first. But we are confident that in this particular situation, that the allocation of manpower and resources are going to take care of themselves. But I think it's fair to say that all 5 commissioners lean on their utilities all the time. So that's the important thing that public can take away from this is we're focused on it, and we're going to make sure that they pay attention to it. Thank you.
In talking to Philip May, the CEO of Entergy, nobody leans on him more than Eric Scrumetta, I hear that. But also, you know, we've had somebody embedded in Station 6 since the August flood of 2017. So, you know, we've been constantly monitoring that station because of the amount of water it does drain from Jefferson Parish. Okay, well, I can certainly say Jefferson Parish is prepared, we're ready, and we'll do everything in our power to recover from this event as quickly as possible, no matter what happens. Commissioner?
I'd like to add one thing when you said about the 17th Street Canal issue. And Mr. President, I can't remember the date, but when there are issues associated with the Orleans Parish power system with its differential cycle problem of providing adequate resources, Jefferson Parish came to the Public Service Commission and said we needed to put in a redundancy line from the Jefferson Parish side, which is Entergy, Louisiana. And in 2 days, we had a redundancy line to the 17th Street Canal power as an additional power backup, which is helping to provide an additional layer of power and resource to the 17th Street Canal power station that's going to help provide more reliant power services to that to make it just that much more reliable as we go forward into this storm. Thank you.
And again, I'd like to thank Chief Steve Caraway, who is my Chief Administrative Assistant over all of these events. He's doing an outstanding job making sure our team operates the way we need to. And I want to thank all of our fire chiefs who are here with us today, all of our 13 volunteer companies throughout the parish. They are certainly boots on the ground and inform us of what they see when their teams are out in the streets, so we can have eyes on the ground everywhere throughout the West Bank of Jefferson Parish and in the 3rd District. And of course, Chief Tibbetts and the East Bank Consolidated Fire Department. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. That concludes our press conference for today. We don't anticipate having any other news briefings this evening. We'll monitor the weather and make a decision about additional press conferences tomorrow. If you would like any direct interviews, please let me know and we'll arrange that.
All right, everybody, good afternoon. Thanks so much for watching News Now, which is a part of Fox10Phoenix.com. It looks like the